Hey, I'm the MMA loser and I'm back with another video. And today I want to talk about this lightweight clash that is going to take place in Austin, Texas, if I'm not mistaken. And it will be between top lightweight contenders Arman Tsarukyan and Beneil Dariush. Now, Dariush has lost his last fight against uh, Charles Oliveira. Now, I think, was the favorite to win that fight. A lot of people were saying that Beneil is finally going to defeat Charles, and Charles is never going to bounce back from that loss against Makachev. But, well, Charles surprised each and every one of us by defeating Beneil Dariush with a head kick. And Beneil, I think he even took Charles down at one point of time, but could not capitalize with his grappling. So eventually Charles ended up winning that fight. And as far as Arman Tsarukyan is concerned, now Arman, I think he has been on a crazy win streak. What is his no, not a crazy win streak, but 3-fight win streak. But then again, he's lost against Mateusz Gamrot. I mean, to be honest, I thought Mateusz Gamrot did not do well in that fight. I mean, you can say that Mateusz Gamrot won the MMA match, but striking wise, Arman Tsarukyan is landing better shots. But Mateusz Gamrot was able to take him down for a couple of rounds. It was also the problem, I think, with Arman Tsarukyan was his endurance towards the end of the fight. That's when I think first 2 rounds, I think Tsarukyan won fairly, and the last 3 rounds, Gamrot won by being a better grappler. Now, that it will be interesting to see how good is Arman Tsarukyan's grappling against someone like Beneil Dariush, because Gamrot tries to use his grappling against anybody and everybody. He's not a good striker. Gamrot, like Arman Tsarukyan, is a much better all-rounder, like overall MMA fighter compared to Mateusz Gamrot. Mateusz Gamrot is someone who likes to utilize his wrestling and lay on top of you. He does not try to finish you, which is really boring. He doesn't go for ground and pound. The dude is boring. And Arman Tsarukyan, on the other hand, has a couple of knockouts in his record. He defeated Damir Ismagulov. His fight with Renato Moicano was cancelled. He won against Joaquin Silva by ground and pound, which is a really good win. I mean, 19-3. Silva's record looks good, but not exactly that good. He lost to Mateusz Gamrot, of course. Before that, he won against Joanne Alvarez, Christos Giagos. So, Matt Frevola, unanimous decision against Matt Frevola, Davi Ramos. And, of course, his debut, he lost against Makachev, the current UFC lightweight champion. So, that goes to show that Arman Tsarukyan, he's a good fighter. He's better than Mateusz Gamrot when you talk about overall MMA skills, but the problem is, I mean, we don't know. We have only seen him fight twice against top contenders, that is Gamrot and Makachev, and he has lost both the times. I mean, of course, a lot of us, we think that he deserved the win against Gamrot, but he ended up losing that fight. No matter how we look at it, he lost the fight. Even if we do not like it, he still lost that fight, right? But when you look at Dariush, on the other hand, Dariush is, I think, much older than Tsarukyan. I think he's 35 right now. Yeah, he's 34, so he's pretty old. And Beneil Dariush was able to defeat Mateusz Gamrot, and Mateusz Gamrot tried to do the same thing that he did against Arman Tsarukyan, utilize his grappling against Dariush, but Dariush neutralizes grappling and turned the fight into a stand-up fight, and he won that stand-up fight. I think he landed a really good left hand on Gamrot, and Gamrot got knocked down, or he was at least rocked, and then of course he lost the unanimous decision. Now, overall, when you see the record of Beneil Dariush, he lost to Alexander Hernandez, which is really weird. Then he won against Diego Moises, Drew Dober, won against Frank Camacho, Drucker Klaus, Scott Holzman, Diego Ferreira, Tony Ferguson. I mean, of course, he defeated Tony Ferguson, but that was the old man Tony Ferguson, and he defeated Mateusz Gamrot, the man who defeated Arman Tsarukyan in UFC, apart from Islam Makhachev. So, I mean, this should be an interesting fight on paper, at least. Both of them, they're both really good grapplers. I mean, I know Beneil Dariush did not look really good in his last fight against Charles Oliveira, but then again, that is Charles Oliveira we are talking about. But I don't think Arman Tsarukyan is Charles Oliveira. I just don't think he has that style of fighting. Arman is much smaller than Charles. Arman is what, only 5'7". So I think he's one of the smaller lightweights in UFC. He's really, really small compared to his other contemporaries. Not physique wise, but height wise and length, and I think reach wise. I don't know what his reach is about. If I can see what his reach is, it'll be interesting to see what his reach is. Do I get to see his reach? Yeah, 72.5. Not bad, not bad. Like for 5'7", 72.5, not exactly a bad reach. Let's see what is Benny's reach. Yeah, yeah. I think he will have a reach advantage over Benny. Maybe. Is it? Yeah, he will have a half a inch reach advantage against Benny, which is interesting. I mean, not exactly a great reach advantage, but he will have at least some reach advantage against Beneil Dariush. So striking wise, I think Arman Tsarukyan, I mean, on paper, from whatever, not on paper, but rather from whatever I have seen for Arman Tsarukyan, he seems like a better striker. He has more fundamental, like he's more of a fundamentally sound striker compared to Beneil Dariush. Whereas I think Dariush has more knockout power than Tsarukyan. Defensively, I think Arman should be better, but you never know. You never know. Also, Dariush is 7 years older than Tsarukyan, so it'll be interesting to see youth versus experience. I mean, Tsarukyan also has really good experience, but compared to him, I think Beneil Dariush has better experience. He has fought better competition, but not exactly by a long margin. But he has fought against Charles Oliveira. That has to be for something. And Tsarukyan has fought against Makhachev. I think he gave the toughest fight to Makhachev apart from Volkanovski in their first fight. But that's a different story. But Arman Tsarukyan in his debut fight in UFC, fought against Islam Makhachev and gave him a tough fight. So that goes, not exactly a tough fight, but come on, he gave a fight to Makhachev. So that has to be counting for something. That has to be count for something. But I don't know. I mean, I'm really on the fence for this one. I might look, if you just want to know my answer, I'm going to pick Tsarukyan to win by. I think I'm going to pick Tsarukyan to win by unanimous decision. Yeah, I think he's going to win by decision or maybe a late round finish, because I haven't seen Beneil Dariush fight for 5 rounds in a long time. He does well in 3 round fights, and he's on a losing, like he lost his last fight. It'll be interesting to see if Beneil can make a comeback, if Beneil can do some, like if Beneil can, he can bounce back from that loss against Oliveira, because that was a hard loss. That was like a really bad loss. He got knocked out in the very first round. He got finished in the very first round. I think it was an RNC. Was it an RNC? I don't remember how he lost that fight. I'll have to check it out. Wait. I'll have to check it out. I think he lost by an RNC, if I'm not mistaken. He got knocked out first, then ground and pound. Not an RNC, but yeah, 4 minutes, 10 seconds of the very first round. Charles Oliveira completely destroyed him in the very first round. It'll be interesting to see where Beneil Dariush is in mentally, because he's not a young fighter anymore. He's 34 years old. He can only do it for maybe 2 years at max at a championship level, because after you become 35, it's kind of difficult to become a champion, especially all the young fighters. I mean, lightweight currently is not looking that great in my opinion. Makhachev is really good, and rest of the fighters in the lightweight division, they're just trying to play catch up to Makhachev. So that kind of gets boring, That kind of gets really boring. So I don't know what am I going to make out of this fight. I think, look, Beneil Dariush, it'll be interesting to see how Arman Tsarukyan utilizes his wrestling, because he has been using his striking for the last couple of fights, and he has won fights by using his striking as well. Because against Gamrot, he was a better striker, but Gamrot was able to take him down and dominate the fight on the ground. Can Beneil Dariush grapple with Arman Tsarukyan? He definitely can. If Beneil can grapple with Gamrot, then he can also be grappled with Tsarukyan. But the problem is, Tsarukyan is a better striker than Gamrot for sure. And Tsarukyan has made improvements in his game. I would like to believe that. We don't know much about that. That was only 2 fights back. But I think Tsarukyan has made quite a lot of improvements in his ground game as well. And if we talk about his striking, I think he utilizes better kicks than Beneil Dariush. He trains at Tiger Muay Thai, so his Muay Thai game is going to be on point. His knees and his kicks should be on point against Dariush. Dariush has really awkward striking. His punches they come from really weird angles, and Dariush has really good knockout power in my opinion. But and again, Dariush is not someone who uses his defense. Like the defense is not the greatest when it comes to Beneil Dariush. Defense is not his greatest asset. He leaves his chin open. He takes one, then he returns you with another punch. So I don't know. I think I'm leaning more towards Arman Tsarukyan to win this fight by, I don't know, a late round TKO or maybe a unanimous decision. I think on the ground, this should be an interesting fight to see because they're both really good grapplers. And when Tsarukyan tried to grapple with Gamrot won that fight. When Gamrot tried to grapple with Dariush won that fight. So it'll be interesting to see if Tsarukyan can grapple with Dariush. And also, Dariush is pretty big. He is 5'11" or maybe 5'10", and he's a big lightweight. So, yeah, I think youth versus experience, and I don't know what else to call. They're both really high rec, and he's hungry. Tsarukyan is really hungry. He's young. He's on the come up, so he should technically, from on whatever I can think of right now, on the top of my head, I think Arman Tsarukyan should win this fight by unanimous decision or maybe late round TKO, maybe some kind of a ground and pound, or maybe I don't know. I'm going to go with Arman Tsarukyan by unanimous decision. Austin, Texas, main event. Beneil Dariush versus Arman Tsarukyan. I think Arman Tsarukyan is going to win this fight by unanimous decision or maybe ground and pound. And before I end the video, please subscribe to my channel. I've got very few subscribers. So yes, I've been making videos for some time now. I want a bit more subscribers. I've got very few. And I'll appreciate if you guys can subscribe to my channel. So with that, peace out, guys. Peace out.